And I would like to invite Mr. Agni Mitra, Field Director, Dampa Tiger Reserve, to present on the geospatial trends of wildlife crime in Northeast India. Please carry on.
Thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya. I will share my PowerPoint. Is it visible?
Yes, visible. It is visible. Just
Okay. Okay. So this study is about the trends of wildlife crime and smuggling in Northeast India. And this is just to present the preliminary results, the trends that we are seeing. So I will move to my PowerPoint. Yes. So in this short presentation, we will just introduce the study, scope and objectives, and the expected outcomes, and why Northeast has higher incidences of wildlife crime than other states, and what are the recent trends, and what can be our initial recommendations from the preliminary observations that we have regarding enforcement strategies. So, introduction to the study, it is an assessment of spatio-temporal patterns of wildlife crime in especially Assam and West Bengal, and that is because of something that we have seen during the Deban's presentation also, that there are hardly any data of seizure from many other of the states. So, Assam and West Bengal has larger amount of data, so that would be used to formulate this pattern of wildlife crime. And we would then try to formulate enforcement strategy using predictive modeling. That is the larger purpose of the study. But for this presentation, we would introduce the objectives and the preliminary observations. Major objectives would be to identify the wildlife species targeted, the affected sites, and what are the most active smuggling routes in the region. Then, what can be the most common profiles among the poachers and the smugglers? These are very different types of people. And then, what can be the suggested enforcement activities in the region? That is the expected outcome. And the primary source of this data is the wildlife crime data from government records, from the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, from the government of Assam and the government of West Bengal. Media reports, especially from the some of the NGOs who diligently report wildlife crime, those would be used as a supplementary source. Coming to why the incidences of wildlife crime is higher in the northeastern region, there are few factors. The most important thing is, first of all, presence of high value species like rhinoceros, tiger, leopard, clouded leopard, elephant for ivories, bear species, musk from musk deer, pangolin, etc. So these have very high values in the illegal international markets, and that is one reason that we have higher incidences of wildlife crime. Beyond that, we have 5 international borders in this northeastern region, and almost all of them has high traditional wildlife use. And Nepal and Bhutan, they are countries in between India and China, and Nepal and Bhutan borders are officially open. So our wildlife is going through Nepal and Bhutan and feeding into the traditional Chinese medicine being used in China as a very robust and very widespread industry. So this open borders with friendly countries, and China being just next to them, is an issue. So is open borders at points with Myanmar, open borders at some border market areas with Bangladesh and Tripura and all that. So that is a very big contributing factor to our higher incidences of wildlife crime and smuggling in Northeast. Beyond that, there is very proven nexus between other things like extremism, and also because of that availability of arms in this region, that is also a reason that we have higher incidences of wildlife crime here. So beyond what is part of this study, larger data from interrogation and from intelligence reports, that it suggests that northern West Bengal is basically the primary wildlife smuggling capital of India, because many products, be it tiger body parts from central India, star tortoise from the forests of Karnataka, or even marine products from Andaman. Many of them are being seized in the northern part of West Bengal, and because you can see the international borders are very very close there. And then the high value items like tiger body parts, rhino horns, etc., they do come into the northeastern region and then get out of Myanmar. They get out of India into Myanmar from Manipur and Mizoram. Those are the major routes. And if what we understand from intelligence reports and also from the data that we have, and also from personal communication with other enforcement agencies of other countries. So, especially rhino horn, which is the most valuable item, it travels from Assam, from northern part of West Bengal, into Dimapur, and from Dimapur there can be two routes. One is up to Imphal, and from Imphal to More border of Manipur, then into the Tamo town of Myanmar, Kale town and Mandalay, and then into the eastern part of Myanmar. The other route followed is through Mizoram, and here the Zokauthat border in the Champhai district is preferred, and then the Tiao, Tidim towns of Myanmar. Then again, these also travel into the eastern part of Myanmar. So the two red crosses that you see, these are basically part of a region which is known as the Golden Triangle. It has always been kind of rebel controlled and kind of out of the Myanmar government's official control. And nowadays, because of this upheaval, and it is more so, it is more completely out of Myanmar government's control. And here you have in the north Chinese territory, in the east Lao territory, and in the south Thailand territory. And all the criminal elements of these countries having some issues, they would migrate into this Golden Triangle. And this is basically a very large market of all kinds of illegal things, arms, drugs, and also wildlife articles. So we understand that high value articles coming out of India, they get into these markets first, and then from there gets redistributed into the world. So that is mostly from the intelligence reports. Tachilek and Mong La are the two markets here, quite well known all around the world. Um, Coming into the recent years, 2019 onwards, there has been a very interesting trend of exotic animals, very high value exotic animals coming into India from our northeastern borders. So there are very many types. There are birds, there are mammals, there are reptiles which are coming in, and I want to show a few glimpses of what exactly are coming in. So the primary reason was that there was an impending amendment in the Wildlife Protection Act, which was tabled, but ultimately it came into effect from 2023. But from 2019 onwards, there was a feel that is going to come. So a lot of these exotics were then brought in because the exotics were going to go into the Wildlife Protection Act as soon as the amendment would take effect. So these were brought in and declared as existing stock. So there was a rush of exotic high value animals being brought into India from this northeastern borders. And the other reasons is, of course, we have very outdated animal content regulations, high rates of custom duties, and these basically makes legal import almost impossible. I mean, I'm talking about the area, the time around 2019 to 2022, because 2023 onwards, the rules have been much more modified, and now it is possible to import legally, but before that it was almost impossible to import legally because of the outdated regulations. So there are some seizures from Mizoram in the recent years. They continue to be more and more seizures. So there are reptiles, there are mammals, there are birds, very interesting animals. So I would just give a glimpse of what are the animals which are mostly being seized. So parakeets of, sorry, parrots and parakeets, of course, but parrots and different types of cockatoos of different descriptions, very high value animals, mostly from CITES Appendix 2. Cetaciformis continued, so different types of parrots, lories, lorikeets, all these, mostly from Appendix 2 and some from Appendix 1, all seized in the recent years coming into India through our northeastern borders. Then the macaws, of course. from not so high value ones. By that I mean birds which are 5 lakh to 10 lakh rupees, to the very, very high value ones like the hyacinth macaw. And the current market price, because you can legally buy this item, there is a legal market price, is above 20 lakh rupees for one bird. So all of these species were smuggled in. Cockatoos, and then very rare birds like the crowned pigeons or the birds of paradise. Even these were smuggled in and often intercepted. Beyond the birds, we have different species of tortoises, iguanas of different kind, other lizards, snakes, especially different types of ball pythons, and then coming into mammals, meerkats, small cats like the serval, and even sloth and lemurs and other small primates, and orangutan also in couple of instances. So these have been the major incoming trends, and a very interesting trend that has come up in the recent years. And what we understand is that what we understand is that these are majorly from animal breeding farms in Thailand, and then they're coming through the territory of Myanmar and getting into India from our borders in Mizoram and in Manipur. Coming into convergence with other crimes, the nexus of extremism and rhino horn smuggling is well established, and it is basically rhino horns have been used as a barter item to barter with AK-47 and other explosives and ammunitions by the Naga insurgent groups, and they have bartered it with the Myanmar insurgent groups. So they give rhino horns to them, and they get arms and ammunitions in exchange. That has been quite well documented. And beyond that, wildlife smuggling often follows similar routes and similar profiles of smugglers and all as drugs, and also like gold and similar high value items. So, what can we suggest from these preliminary observations on the data is there is something called the Parivesh portal, which is a government portal through which the transit of these exotic animals are governed. And what I think is a initial giveaway that a attempt at smuggling is going to take place is some spurious applications. This can be identified based on few markers, and so that is one thing that has to be regularly done by the state forest departments, basically the chief wildlife warden officers. And then because dynamic placement of check parties on roads leading from the border is something that we need to do. So dynamic placing means that if there is a certain route which is monitored every day, then the smuggling parties will change routes, because the borders are, if you have come to Manipur or to Mizoram, sometimes the borders are basically open with Myanmar. So if you put, checking parties, nakas on a certain route, the smugglers are going to change the routes. So dynamic placement, unpredictable changes has to be done. That is required. And other state number SUVs like Karnataka numbers, Delhi numbers are often found in Northeast, and these are parties who have come from other states to take delivery of these animals and then go back to their states. So that is other state number SUVs will have to be preferentially examined. In the long term, there are some long-term measures that needs to be taken up, like creation of intelligence network. There are ways and means to do that. Establishment of a rescue center, which I'm happy to share, is going on with funds from the Central Zoo Authority. Training of forest and police field staff for handling in wildlife crime, and beyond that, how to cater to rescued animals. That is also something which is very important to save the innocent lives. And in the long term, we need establishment of specialized wildlife crime control cell comprising of both forest and police officers. There are such examples in central India like Madhya Pradesh. There are such examples in UP and Odisha. They are doing very, very well. So this is, of course, one of the prime recommendations of the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. So this establishment of these cells have to be done in most of the states. And an SOP for handling wildlife crime, a standard operating procedure, which would lay down the processes for entry, search, seizure, arrest, the template documents for court cases, and also provide assistance for writing final complaint, that is the charge sheet for after investigation. These things will also have to be done in the long term. I think having an SOP like this, which actually exists, it has to be modified and widely circulated. This is a very big step in terms of having convictions in court. So we can do the arrest, we can do the seizure, but if the offenders go free after a few days, then long-term effect is not achieved. But if there is conviction, then we can take players out from the game for 3 years, 5 years, and that is a considerable cost that is imposed on them. So this, I think, is going to be a very crucial game-changing input that we need to do. So those are the some recommendations that I have. And I think as the study gets more analytical and we have more figures and more results, we can have more pinpointed recommendations. So at the end, I would like to thank the Gobir Government College, our principal, for giving me this opportunity, the head of Conservation Biology Department for allowing me to present, and my guide, Dr. Tabajit Bhattacharya, for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions?
There is a question in
There
the
is a
chat
question.
box from Priyanka.
Okay, I will read it. Pet owners often find the rules confusing. For instance, they may keep exotic animals under the impression that they are not native to India and are therefore not banned. Meanwhile, many officials seem to lack the necessary identification skills and often harass people for keeping on or trading non-protected animals. How can both groups be provided with clarity? That's a very nice question, I think. And the short answer is awareness and training. So the pet owners, I'm sure they have groups, they have kind of support groups, and they have groups to exchange and keep pets, and all kinds of groups in Facebook, WhatsApp, etc. And they should be aware of the legality of what they're keeping. And I mean, it is the mandate of themselves, I would say, to educate themselves, because in the court of law, one of the basic premises of justice is ignorance of law cannot be an excuse. Then tomorrow I can say that I did not know that I cannot steal from the rich and give to the poor. So ignorance of law cannot be an excuse. So the pet owners have to educate themselves. Of course, there are online resources. There are the latest versions of law is available online. Beyond that, we this issue of officials lacking the necessary identification skills. Yes, there is a need for training of officials, but Indian jurisprudence talks about giving the benefit of doubt to the possible offender. So if that is not being given, there is of course legal remedy available. People can go to court. People have gone to court against I think what training can achieve, but beyond that, if remedy is necessary, then either individually or as a body. There are. I know that in Bengal we have the Bird Lovers Association. We have. I mean, I'm talking about pet birds. We have that Bird Lovers Association. We would also have something similar in other states, and something similar for other groups of pets also. So if an individual is finding it difficult to go to court and have judicial remedy, then I would suggest that the body as a whole can go to the court to seek remedy. And if my memory serves me correctly, I think in 2022 there was a remedy which was sought from High Court, and High Court did say that only indigenous birds will have to be seized if they are going through railways and roadways. Because before that, I think the railway police was seizing everything. So judicial remedy can be available, is available, and that can be had if there is any issue. Okay, so the next question is from Agni Sanal. Various organizations like Rhino Rescue Project and Sabi Sand Game Reserve in Africa, I presume, are infusing rhino horns with a type of poison and dyes to prevent poaching. Have you tried something similar? I am not aware that in India anything of this sort has been tried. And I do not think that we are still in a situation where this can be tried, because we have far less instances of poaching than the African countries. So I think time has not come that we try something so drastic. And as you were aware that I think you might be aware that recently, even I think 2 days back, the Tiger Protection Force in Kaziranga, they have killed a poacher within the Kaziranga National Park. So the protection is still okay. Still, I mean, the war is on, but I would say time for such drastic measures have not come yet in India.
Oh, I have a small query where the countries, the bordering countries, the government of their countries are giving any kind of help.
Yes, so there are certain bodies like there is a organization called SAVEN, that is South Asia Wildlife Enforcement Network. So that is not very well established till date, but the mandate of SAVEN is that the legality, the legal provisions of these countries like Nepal, India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Myanmar, Indonesia, Thailand, very, very importantly, should be similar. So we cannot have a situation where killing a tiger in India would fetch you a prison sentence of 7 years, but in Thailand it is 6 months. That is very, very anomalous. So we cannot have that. So towards that end, this organization is working, Savan, but we still have a very long way to go. And beyond that, there are organizations like the Interpol. The Interpol has an environmental crime branch. So they're in Asia office, which is in Singapore. They organize sometimes conferences involving all these enforcement agencies of different countries in Asia, and they would exchange information regarding known criminals. They would exchange information regarding new routes or smuggling modus operandi which has been found out. And so there is some kind of cooperation among the enforcement agencies across countries, and there is some effort towards getting the legal responses, getting the law at a similar footing in different countries. Beyond that, I must say, going a little deeper, that the enforcement scenario in India and Nepal is even better than India, is quite good, but other countries, it really lacks a little bit of teeth as on today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation and these vivid explanations.
Thank you, sir.
I think we